morning, everyone, and welcome to the Phoenix Women's Commission annual She Matters Equity Forum. Look around you. Seriously, for a moment, just kind of look around at all of the women and just pause for a moment and take in the strength, the grace, and the brilliance gathered in this space on this morning. Each woman here today is a living, breathing testimony of power and perseverance. You've risen above barriers, you've weathered the storms, and you continue to bloom right where life has planted you. And from the park and ride a couple months ago where the storm caused us to postpone our first event, to right here at the beautiful Phoenix Convention Center, we are proof that you can bloom wherever you stand. Yes, yes. When we stand strong and stand together, we can bloom wherever we're planted. Today isn't just another event, it's a declaration, a bold statement that she matters, you matter, and we all matter. So if you've attended this event in the last 3 years, you know what time it is. I need to get everybody's participation. And when I say who matters, you say I matter. Who matters? I matter. Who matters? I matter. Who matters? I matter. I think we got it. And that's right. You matter. Now, you might have noticed something different this year. Our gathering looks a little brighter, a little warmer, because we shifted from that March date to our May date. And although International Women's Month has officially passed, its energy and urgency are alive and well in this space. This year's International Women's Day theme was Accelerate Action. According to the World Economic Forum, at the current pace, it could take until the year 2158, yes, 5 generations from now, to reach full gender parity. Just think about that, 2158. And that's absolutely unacceptable. Accelerating action means we can no longer wait. We must move with boldness and with urgency. It means dismantling the barriers, disrupting the bias, and refusing to settle for someday. So today, let the forum be more than just conversation. Let it be a call to action. Let's leave here more fired up, more connected, and more committed than ever to creating an equitable world for ourselves, our daughters, and for every generation to come. Now, as I prepare to welcome up our incredible guests to the stage, I leave you with this. Let today be a day of inspiration, empowerment, and unstoppable change, because she matters and so do you. So we're going to get started. Are you ready? Woo! With our first guest, I am just so excited to have Mayor Kate Gallego here. Since her early days serving Phoenix on the City Council, Kate has been focused on creating the Phoenix of the future, a welcoming, thriving city with ample high-wage jobs and opportunities for all. As mayor, Kate spends every day focused on getting things done for Phoenix families. The results speak for themselves. Kate brought a historic $65 billion, yes, semiconductor manufacturing plant to Phoenix that's creating thousands of great-paying career paths. She built coalitions to deliver critical improvements to parks, public safety, and city infrastructure. And she is partnering with ASU to build a brand new medical school in downtown Phoenix. Kate is the second elected woman mayor in Phoenix history and one of the youngest big city mayors in the nation. She graduated from Harvard and holds an MBA from the Wharton School of Business. Though serving Phoenicians keeps her days busy and her heart full, her favorite job is being Michael's mom. Please put your hands together and welcome up Mayor Kate Gallego. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Irby, for that fabulous introduction. I feel like I need this energy every morning to get me going into the day. To the Commissioners Irby and Byra, thank you for your co-chairmanship of this incredible event, which means so much to our community. I've heard stories of people who've changed their financial planning because of this event, or even decided to pursue a new, more ambitious career. And I hope so many of you here today will have aha moments or find something that grounds you and helps you get your priorities in line with where you want them to be. I'm so thankful to all of the folks who planned it, to our amazing Women's Commission chaired by Dr. Heather Ross. Thank you. Could you all stand and wave so we can recognize our commissioners? Thank you for your service to the City of Phoenix. They work with multiple city departments led by the Equal Opportunity Department, led by Don Logan, and I want to thank our team at Team Phoenix for their support, as well as the great folks at the Convention Center who make sure we have a wonderful place to be for this meeting. The Women's Commission has been supporting our city for more than 35 years, promoting better outcomes for women and advancing policies that reflect the unique realities and roles that women have in our community. We have worked with the Women's Commission on so many different challenges, from childcare to pay disparities to barriers to healthcare. Sometimes these policies happen because we don't have enough women at the table designing policies. One of the things we did with the Women's Commission was reflect on the anniversary of women's suffrage, the right to vote. But it's worth remembering, women have only had the right to vote in our country for less than half of its history. We also get to celebrate, including the generations of brave women who have continually risen to challenge and push for greater representation and equity in every space where we enter. Today, over 10% of Fortune 500 companies are led by women. A quarter of US senators are female. Nearly 60% of women participate in the labor force. These numbers show progress, but also a lot of work still to be done. We want to make sure we enable smart policies that help people succeed, including access to education and healthcare. We're joined by so many advocates here today who you'll get to hear from. Particularly want to recognize one in particular. Debbie Esparza was recognized this weekend as Advocate of the Year by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You'll get to hear from Debbie shortly, along with our leader of the International Rescue Committee, who works with Commissioner Irby and others to make sure we live by our values and are a welcoming community. In terms of women's leadership at the City of Phoenix, we had a milestone 2 weeks ago. We swore in 5 elected officials, and it turns out for the second time in our city's history, all 5 were women. So we have a supermajority of women leaders at the City of Phoenix Council, and that also comes at a time when our governor, our treasurer, our attorney general, and more are women elected leaders. There are cities such as New York City, never had a female mayor, states that have never had a female governor, and in Arizona, we have a pretty good record. We ought to be proud of that. Some of you were with me at inauguration, and I shared a little bit about my story and path to running, which was a little bit of a bumpy one. In 2017, Greg Stanton was serving as our mayor and announced he'd be departing to run for Congress. It was a tumultuous year in my life. My mom, who is a great partner in all things, had been diagnosed with late-stage cancer and given a relatively short window in which her doctors expected her to live. I was pregnant at the time, and then my marriage fell apart, and so it was what I had gone from what I thought was like a super stable personal situation to one with a little bit too much excitement for me. And originally I was like, okay, I can't make progress in my career. There is just too much going on, and I just have to slow down. But it really ate me up. When I made that decision, I had wanted to run for mayor, and so saying I couldn't because of my personal life was really hard. I listened to 90s country, and every time certain songs about, I hope you, when you get the chance to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. Every time it came on, it like ate me up because I was not dancing. And so eventually I just talked with a particular group of female friends who said, we got your back, we're gonna make sure you can be a great mom to your infant, do a good job at the city council, and still run for mayor. And so I ended up deciding to run, and I'm so glad I did it. And I always like to share that story because no one will have that same path, but I imagine you're all dealing with something in your personal life that's a little bit complicating. And so I think if you wait until your life is perfect, you'll miss out on so many opportunities. And my life has never been perfect. So I think go for it. I guess we'll take a poll. Anyone in here have a perfect life? I think it's important for us to remember, though, right? Everyone has something going on, and we ought to remember that in how we treat each other, but also not be held back. There is research that says if women see a job description with 10 bullet points of things that are qualifications, many women will not apply unless they can meet all 10. And there'll be guys out there who are like, I got 2. I'm going for it, I'm qualified. And that's true of many different groups who have disadvantages. So we ought to be our own supporters, and we need our tribes to cheer us on, and I hope that some of the women in this room will do that for you. The women of the City Council and I, as well as the great gentlemen who serve, are trying to champion programs that lift women up and deliver equity in Phoenix. We passed unanimously an equal pay ordinance at the city. We have invested in paid family leave at 12 weeks so that you can, for both men and women, spend time with your family and keep your career on track. We're trying to make the city a more friendly place for mothers, including creating space at the convention center, airport, and more for nursing moms to have a place to nurse while on the go. In areas where we don't have quite the workforce equity we hope to have, we have programs such as our 30 by 30 program with the police department, where we are trying to get 30% of our sworn police officers to be women by 2030, and we got a great team in the back over there who can talk to you if you are interested. We are also trying to support women entrepreneurs, including making sure that there is access to financing if you want to grow your businesses. We have small microloan programs, including one partnership with the Better Business Bureau. If you're trying to really scale and grow at a larger rate, we have partnerships that try to get women first angel and then venture capital investing. So one partnership is with Golden Seeds, which is a great nonprofit or great investment collaborative of women who try to invest in women-led companies, and they've had some incredible success stories. The city is also trying to make sure that women get the chance to pitch to venture capital investors. So those are the investors that really try to invest in incredibly quickly growing companies, and overwhelmingly the companies raising venture capital funds are led by men, but we're hoping to do our part to close that gap. And so we have opportunities through the city in certain sectors where we can get women in front of the best pitch opportunities. One that'll come up soon is in biosciences. The city is gonna sponsor a competition called Startup Stadium for healthcare and bioscience companies, and really try to make sure some of our female entrepreneurs get the chance to pitch. We know right now that the majority of companies in the healthcare space are looking at solutions focused on men. So if you buy a medical or a wearable technology, often a smartwatch or a ring to track your health, it apparently assumes you're male. That's the default. And so we are working with a group of women in healthcare to try to make Phoenix a hub of what we call femtech, so healthcare technology for women. We have incredible companies here already that are in that space, from wearable technologies to a company called The Pause that helps use AI technology to help women navigate menopause. We hope that by supporting these companies, we will have economic success, but also better healthcare outcomes. We want Phoenix to be the spot for women who have healthcare challenges to navigate those. And we're really excited about the investments we're making in that area. You heard in the introduction, we're building a medical school with ASU just blocks from here, and we're hoping they'll be very forward-thinking and really try to improve health outcomes throughout our community. And we have great leaders on the Women's Commission, including its chair, who are pioneers in this space. So thank you, Dr. Ross, for your leadership. You also got to hear about our major investment from Taiwan Semiconductor. So when we submitted the bio, I think it was accurate that it was a $65 billion. It is now $165 billion. Some of the cool things that are happening there, the woman who is the Arizona CEO is a woman. That's pretty unusual in semiconductors and tech. And if you look at some of the workforce, there's some really exciting stories. 20% of the iron workers are Navajo women, which is pretty incredible. And just so fun inspiring to meet with these women. I met with one who told me she made $8,000 in her first 3 weeks building the semiconductor fab, and that allows her to care for multiple generations of her family. So some good news in that area. We're seeing a lot of change right now, and I think that's why spaces like this are so important to reflect. The theme this year really meets the moment. Bloom where you are planted. Reminds us that no matter what's going on, we all deserve the opportunity to grow, thrive, and succeed. We also gotta stay close to our roots and to nurture the communities around us. I hope that you find something today that helps you with your next steps and navigate where you are, a little dose of inspiration and a little bit of a chance to make new friends as well as deepen existing connections. Have a great forum.
Thank you, Mayor Kate, for just coming up here and rocking it. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. At this time, we will proceed with our agenda, and I'd like to bring to the platform right now the Executive Director with the International Rescue Committee, Aaron Rippin-Kroger. Put your hands together as he comes to have remarks at this time. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be here, and thank you very much, Commissioner Irby, Mayor Gallego, all the members of the Phoenix Women's Commission, the YWCA, Phoenix Convention Center, and all the sponsors who made this event possible, including Valley Metro and 19 North, where we were all standing with our raincoats on last March, and hopefully we'll be back there again this fall with the commission. So I work for the International Rescue Committee, the IRC here in Arizona, which has been providing services for refugees and people displaced by war and persecution for over 90 years, people from all over the world, and for over 30 years here in Phoenix. The majority of these people are women and girls. These women and girls arrive to Arizona with a vast array of skills and backgrounds, but the majority have experienced some degree, sometimes an extreme degree, of social and economic marginalization in their countries of origin and during their time of displacement, where they may have spent years or decades on the move, country to country, or in refugee camps, urban or remote, before having the exceedingly rare opportunity to be resettled here in the United States. Arriving to Arizona, these women may confront many challenges and at the same time the opportunity to enter the workforce, earn an income, and provide for themselves and their families. The IRC works with these clients, and specifically these women, to help ease the adjustment process and expand the opportunities they have to become the drivers of their own success and of the success of their family and of those around them. We have a variety of programs that support this integration process, but I would like to highlight the IRC's economic empowerment programs, which are committed to increasing the number of women pursuing entrepreneurship and achieving financial independence. One of our inspiring small business owners, Merci Watunda of Lagu Zairewa Catering, is here and will be speaking shortly after me in a few minutes to talk about her journey of resilience and success. IRC's economic empowerment programs support women in building self-sufficiency and stability through asset development, helping them buy homes, start small businesses, and pursue educational opportunities. Also through our employment and workforce development programs, we provide job readiness support and job placement assistance, empowering many women to enter the workforce for the very first time in their lives. As we gather here today, I want to remind ourselves of what countless studies have shown us over the years, that investing in women not only benefits those women directly, but it also has exponential benefits for their families, their communities, and our collective economy and our society. So I'll end with a quote from Dr. Stella Bosire, who's a doctor and lawyer from Kibera, Kenya, who I think said it best when she said, when a woman has economic power, she lifts up not just herself, but she lifts up her whole community. So we could not agree more, and we are so grateful to be here with you today. It's an honor. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the program.
At this time, I have the great pleasure of bringing up this phenomenal woman, the CEO of YWCA, Debbie Esparza. Please put your hands together and welcome her to the platform.
Hey friends, I gotta tell you, I'm already excited. And just listening to the first few minutes, this is gonna be such a fabulous day. And I went a little bit like this in my remarks, so hang with me, okay? Let's see if it comes together. So I want to first say thank you to the Phoenix Women's Commission and all the partners that are here today. Thank you, Mayor Gallego, for the shout out. Folks were with me on Saturday and with a lovely event, so thank you very much. But this, and I wanted to mention something that Commissioner Irby said, that even though this didn't happen in Women's History Month, like, are we only here 1 month? My friends, we are here all year long. It's Women's History Decade, era, lifetime. Right? They can't put us in a month. No, they can't. So here's my little goofy thing, and I'm going to try to keep it quick. So bloom where you are planted. That really moved me. There's lots of things happening in each of our lives. So I'm not going to make you stand up or anything, but just while you're seated, plant your feet firmly on the ground. Feel your roots connecting with Mother Earth. Feel that you're so grounded, you're so rooted. And if you need to switch to your mind, I'm going to go back and forth from the analogy to what we can do with today. Begin to know what you care about. That's what you're rooted in. Then feel your stem or your trunk or your branches growing and reaching out. What you can do today is feel your strength. Feel your reach. What do I have? Not only in my control, but in adjacent control, right? What are those spheres of influence that I can manage with my leaves and my branches? Your leaves are blowing in the gentle wind, and all of a sudden it's going shh. But that's you, because you can adapt as the wind blows. Look around at the garden that you're in. Build the network today. Build the village that surrounds you. I love this part because I do this in the morning. Say hello to the birds and the bees and the butterflies who are pollinating your space. Meet some new people today and let the workshops pollinate your mind, to infuse your mind with some new thoughts. Also, daily as a plant or a flower, you perk up when the sun comes out. and you rest when the sun goes down. An important thing that I'd like to share, take your rest. Take your rest. There's no shame in a good nap, right? Take your rest. To wrap up my little comments today, take action to make your world a better place for you and your family. Sign up for YWCA's newsletter. There's lots of innovative activities and events. There's never a dull moment hanging out with us. Thank you again to the dedicated volunteers on the Phoenix Women's Commission and all the partners here today. Enjoy your day.
At this time, it's my honor to introduce our incredible, fearless leader of the Phoenix Women's Commission, Chair Heather Ross. Can you encourage Chair Ross as she comes to the microphone?
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Is she not the greatest cheerleader in the whole world? Yeah, thank you so much, Commissioner Irby. None of this would be happening without her, to be really clear. And I want to recognize that Commissioner Irby really has thrown her heart and soul and being into the Women's Commission and into the work of reminding us all who matters? I matter. Oh, good callback, friends. Let's try it again. Who matters? I matter. Absolutely. So we all matter here, and Commissioner Irby has brought us all along as the Phoenix Women's Commission to really, now this is not the first women's forum that we've held, but we have really elevated this forum to focus on equity, to make it a space where, yes, we're celebrating women, and we are inviting those of us who are not women in to celebrate the space with us together. I really appreciate this vision that we're brought to, and I do want to recognize, and I brought my seeing glasses, both Commissioner Jackson and I have seeing glasses. I brought my seeing glasses because I wanted you all to know who are all of the contributors and the members of the Women's Commission. I am so privileged to have been invited and been nominated to the Women's Commission by Councilwoman Deb Stark, who has been a great friend of mine and a real ally of mine for many years. And when I was asked by Mayor Gallego to step into the chair role a couple of years ago, I just thought, gosh, I guess this is where I'm planted, so now is the time to bloom. And I am joined by the vice chair today of the Women's Commission, Carrie Simmons. Thank you for being here and for being a really right-hand leader for me. Commissioner Sharice Irby, who is the chair of this event, this forum. Commissioner Lalitha Byra, who is the co-chair of this forum. Really, truly, thank you both. We also have in the room with us Commissioner Jessica Fotinos, who has joined the commission this year. We're so delighted. We also have Commissioner Annette Sutphin, who was both Commissioner Annette Sutphin and Commissioner Jessica Wani this is really only their second gig with the Women's Commission. We were like, welcome, you were just appointed, now show up for this event, please. So I want to thank you both for being here. Commissioner Terry Jackson, my rock and stay in all things related to the city of Phoenix. And we're so fortunate to have Commissioner Maria Fernanda Araguin Gomez, who contributes to the Women's Commission from her role as a diplomat from our beautiful neighbor to the south, Mexico. So we're really, really delighted to have her in all rooms with us. We also have some commissioners who were not able to join us today. They are blooming elsewhere. Anjali Abraham, Maria Bailey Benson, Lisa Doramal, Megan Schmitz, Christina Spicer, and Miriam Weissman. So I want to name all of the names because it's important that we name all of the names. It's important that every one of you, when you are where you are planted, which is wherever you are, your name should be forward, yeah? And I want all of us to remember that we should be in the world. We should not only be putting up our hands to serve in the world, but we should also make sure that people know who we are when we are serving. You know, none of what we are experiencing at this moment in history is normal. In my day job, and the mayor alluded to this just a bit, I'm a professor of nursing at Arizona State University, and I have the great privilege of being specifically a professor of health equity and health policy. Now, this has been a really interesting time to be teaching health policy. And one of the things that I've mentioned in every one of my lectures in this calendar year is that none of this is normal. So I think it's important that we remember that none of this is normal. Just this morning, I saw the news that for the first time since it was started in the 19th century, the Librarian of Congress was fired. Yes, Dr. Carla Hayden, a PhD-prepared librarian who was in the 9th year of her 10th year, or of her 10-year term as the Librarian of Congress, was fired in a letter that did not start, "Dear Dr. Hayden," the letter said, "Carla." Yeah. It's important that we remember that this is not normal behavior. None of what is happening in the world today is normal, and all the more reason that every single one of us has that responsibility. We have that obligation to say, this is where we're at. I got to stand here, and I got to bloom. I so appreciated Debbie's comments about like turning us all into trees. I do want to honor the cacti among us as well. I am a native Phoenician. But yes, it is so important that we say, wow, this feels like really rocky soil that we are planted in, and yet, I don't know how many of you, space around where you live is like mine, where there are cracks in the sidewalk, and isn't it a miracle that little plants manage to find their way up? And that is where we all can be, right? We all have the power to do that. And if we all exercise that power and really bloom where we are, in whatever soil we are planted in, we can move this world in the direction that we hope it goes. So please remember that. I really encourage every one of us to take a look at that paper that was underneath your run of show, that Rooted and Rising, your story of strength. I want to share with you my story of strength just from this week. It is not as deep as I would encourage you to feel comfortable going, but when you look at number 3 and completing the following prompts, I mean, I'm a teacher and I was so excited when Commissioner Irby showed up this morning and was like, look, I made a worksheet. I was like, yes, this is amazing. I love a worksheet. And my mother will tell you, I have always loved a worksheet. As this is a Women's Commission forum, I will share with you that when I was about 4 years, my mother was also a teacher, a music teacher, and always had those old grade books, remember, with like the spiral bound and when you would write grades on paper because it was the 1900s. She had this grade book, right? And I was looking through it. I was an earlier reader, and if she was here today, she would tell you the story that when I was about 4 years old, she was doing something else, and I was looking through the grade book, and I said, well, when am I going to get my period? And she was like, someday? You're 4? And she said, well, why do you ask? Which I think is a great question to have in your back pocket. Why do you ask? And I said, well, I need to know what to fill out in this space in the worksheet here, because it said period, because it was for a grade school teacher, this grade book. Yes. But I've always loved a worksheet. That's what I'm saying. So my worksheet today, I completed the following prompts by saying, I was challenged by food poisoning. It's true. The other thing my mother will tell you about me is that the best thing I make is a reservation. And that proved true this week when, for the first time in my household, I caused food poisoning. I don't know what it was. It could have been the lettuce that I grew. I don't know. But a whole bunch of things got thrown away. So I was challenged by food poisoning. Man, it really knocked me down. I was not sure that I was going to be able to come here today, but, through the grace of makeup, here we are. So I did find strength in what I refer to as emergency shortbread. So some of my friends know my maiden name is Sinclair. I am Scottish by heritage. And I always have with me a packet of what I refer to as emergency shortbread, because you just never know when you're going to have an emergency and you're going to need shortbread. Well, as it turns out, that is what I was able to keep down earlier this week. So I found strength in nibbles on truly emergency shortbread. I bloomed by leaning into the touch up my appearance function on Zoom meetings. I dialed it way up. I don't even know what I look like. I hope I look like Catherine Zeta-Jones. But I just carried forward with all of my Zoom meetings. And, I felt really fortunate that I had clean sips of water to drink and my emergency shortbread at my side. And I have also found that while I'm still at sort of the nibbling stage of my recovery from that really, like I said, a lot of things got thrown away. But I've decided to celebrate that I'm here, I am hydrated, and I have appetite suppression that you usually have to pay for, but I just got it. So I am really celebrating, and that is how I am blooming, where I happen to be planted today. Now, so I offer that story. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. Every one of us has more profound challenges that we have faced in our past, in our present, and that we will face in our future. And I encourage you to always know that you can put your feet on the ground, and that is where you are. And you get to make the choice. You don't always get to choose what you're handed. You don't always get to choose which ground you stand on, or you sit on, or you lie on. But you do always get to choose how you react. You don't get to choose always how you feel, but you always get to choose what you do. And so with that, I am personally so excited to hear from our next speaker, who Commissioner Irby will be introducing, and I want to thank every one of you for choosing to be here today. Thank you.
We can thank Chair Roth for those amazing remarks. And not only are you hydrated, you look fabulous. So, mission accomplished.
Hello everyone, I'm Vice Mayor Ann O'Brien, and it's my honor to join you virtually for today's She Matters Equity Forum. I want to thank the Phoenix Women's Commission for the vision, passion, and hard work to bring this powerful gathering to life. And I want to thank you for showing up, for leaning in, and for committing to equity, not just in words, but in action. As we prepare for the next chapter of this incredible day, I want to pause and reflect on something important. You matter. Your voice, your presence, your lived experiences, they all matter. You are showing up as a bold reminder that equity doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of courageous women like you who demand more, build more, and lead with purpose. Whether you're an advocate, a policymaker, a student, a mother, a business owner, you are an important part of a powerful movement. You are part of a generation that is not asking for change. You are creating change. So, as you step into the afternoon sessions, I hope you will keep speaking, keep building, keep showing up. Remember, she matters, you matter, and when women rise, everyone rises. Thank you for being the heartbeat of progress in our city. Phoenix is stronger, more vibrant, and more equitable because of you. Enjoy the rest of the forum and keep leading boldly.
It's my honor to introduce and welcome a visionary leader, a dynamic speaker, and unapologetic advocate for equity and empowerment, Cherise Irby. Cherise is a nationally recognized nonprofit executive, economic empowerment strategist, and motivational speaker with over 20 years of leadership across healthcare, government, and community sectors. She currently serves as the Economic Empowerment Manager for the International Rescue Committee in Phoenix, where she oversees a multi-million-dollar portfolio supporting workforce development, financial education, and small business growth for refugees, immigrants, and underserved communities. She is also the founder and former executive director of the phenomenal Women Empowerment Network, which she grew into a $1 million nonprofit dedicated to helping women rise, lead, and thrive. Her voice is both powerful and purposeful, reaching audiences around the globe through her international speaking engagements and as the best-selling author of 3 motivational books. Cherise has been honored as a Titan 100 CEO, received the City of Phoenix MLK Living the Dream Award, and as a commissioner on the Phoenix Women's Commission, she continues to advocate for pay equity, access, and leadership development. Today, she's here to speak truth to power with her session, How to Bloom in the Face of Adversity, Part 1. Encouraging us to remember that even in our hardest seasons, we are still worthy, still powerful, and still destined to grow. Please join me in welcoming the incomparable Cherise Irby.
Thank you, Commissioner Byra. I'm back. I'll switch hats here. I have the amazing privilege of co-presenting on this topic. So my quote-unquote partner in crime will be joining me as well. We are tag teaming on today, so I'm excited about that. So yes, our subject is how to bloom in the face of adversity. So in a room full of visionaries, overcomers, and change agents, at a time when the world needs more light than ever, today we're not just here to talk, we're here to bloom, to rise up, shake off the dust, and grow in the direction of our destiny. Because even when the soil is dry, the sun is hitting, and the storm rages, what happens? We still bloom. You were never meant to shrink in hard seasons. You were created to be fierce, be fabulous, be vibrant, be healthy, and be unapologetically you. Let's walk through the 5 blooming B's, your guide to thriving in adversity. The first B is be fierce. Can I hear somebody say be fierce? Face, I like talk back, so y'all don't have to talk back to me. I'm a talk back speaker. Face adversity with courage, not fear. Adversity will knock. It will try to intimidate you, shake your confidence, and silence your voice. But fierce women, we don't flinch. Fierce women fight forward. You've already survived things that were meant to break you. When life says you can't, you say, yes, I can, just watch me. Fierce isn't loud, it's rooted. Stand in your truth. Even when the wind blows hard, we stand because we're rooted. The second B is be fabulous. Be fabulous. Own your beauty, your brilliance, and your boldness. Even in the struggle, you can sparkle. Even in the pressure, you can shine. Being fabulous is about showing up real, resilient, and radiant. You don't dim your light. You bloom out loud. The world needs your flavor and your fire. So our first B is be. Our second B is and our third B is be vibrant. Stay rooted in joy no matter what comes your way. Vibrancy is resistance, it's rebellion, it's choosing joy, laughter, and celebration even while healing. Your joy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Let your light brighten the path for others. Let your light brighten the path for others. So we have the first B, be fierce, be, and be healthy. Protect your peace and nourish your whole self. Blooming just isn't about productivity, it's about perseverance. Rest is revolutionary. Rest is revolutionary. We have to learn how to rest. Boundaries are sacred. How many of you have learned that boundaries are sacred? That's one of our greatest weapons is setting those boundaries, right? Saying no is self-love. It took a whole lot for me to learn just those 2 little magic words, but they are so powerful. No. And sometimes that's exactly what we need to be able to say. And it's self-love. It's taking care of who we are. You cannot pour into others from an empty cup. Make your healing your lifestyle. Make your healing your lifestyle. So our first B is be, and our 5th B is be you and claim your power. Let me hear somebody say, I claim my power. There is no one else like you, and that's your superpower. You're not everybody's cup of tea, and you weren't meant to be. But what I love to say is, I may not be your cup of tea, but baby, I'm somebody's glass of cognac, okay? Bold, unforgettable, and strong, right? So don't apologize for the space that you take up. Don't water yourself down. The world needs your original God-designed blueprint. In closing, and as my partner approaches, adversity is inevitable, but growth is optional. You can either survive the storm or you can bloom through it. It's your choice. Today, I challenge you, be fierce in your fight, be fabulous in your walk, be vibrant in your spirit, be healthy in your habits, and be you. Above all, claim your power because she matters, because you matter, because we are the flowers that bloom in the concrete, in crisis and in community. Thank you and continue to bloom, Queens.
Thank you, Commissioner Irby. That was such an impactful talk. Your leadership and clarity are a gift for all of us. Thank you. So please join me in welcoming an advocate, a healer through law, and a champion for personal growth, Jessica M. Wani. Jessica is a dedicated Arizona family law attorney, known not only for her legal skill, but for her compassion, empathy, and deep commitment to her clients' emotional and personal well-being. Her clients often describe her as a compassionate problem solver and a steady, thoughtful listener, someone who truly sees the person beyond the paperwork. From a young age, Jessica knew her purpose was rooted in justice and advocacy. Today, she brings that passion into her family law practice, guiding individuals and families through some of life's most difficult transitions, which are divorce, separation, co-parenting, and more, with dignity and strength. She believes no one should walk through those challenges alone, and she partners with her clients to create holistic legal strategies that promote healing, stability, and new beginnings. And her greatest reward? Helping people feel empowered to make decisions that restore their peace and protect their families. Beyond the courtroom, Jessica has spent more than a decade volunteering in her community and schools, always driven by her heart for service. Today, she brings her wisdom to the stage with her talk, part 2 of how to bloom in the face of adversity. A powerful reminder that even through life's hardest transitions, growth is still possible and beauty can still rise. Please help me welcome the incredible Jessica M. Wani.
Okay, I'm going to build on to Commissioner Irby's beautiful B's. So we're going to have a chance to reinforce them. And I just want to say, look, I bloomed into a redhead since the last time. Isn't that nice how that happens? Okay. So yes, I am a family law attorney. Like everyone in this room, we've all experienced adversity, right? Adversity is a very personal experience. And I'm going to encourage everyone to sort of keep in their minds that there's no like award for having like the hardest adversity. We heard from Commissioner Ross today talk about her recent adversity and the challenge that she had to overcome. Food poisoning, that is terrible, that's tremendous, right? We all have adversities. We might be facing some right now. We might be on the heels of overcoming. People come to us in all different phases of their lives. And so I just encourage everyone, right, don't judge yourself, right? I think it's important for us to sort of lean in and be okay with where we are and understand, yeah, there are other people who are facing maybe greater adversities, but this is the adversity that I'm facing right now, and what can I do about it? So as a lawyer and as an attorney that deals with wonderful humans that are experiencing challenges and facing adversity, I do try to come up and learn, both through my own personal experience and learn from my clients, what are some like practical things, what can we do when we are facing adversity? Because at the end of the day, like self-love is more than just a bubble bath. Bubble baths are important, don't get me wrong, but self-love is doing the hard stuff when nobody's watching and nobody's clapping for you, right? Like that's what it is, right? Self-love it's not necessarily, yes, it's getting a massage, and yeah, maybe sometimes it's like putting yourself and piecing yourself back together, right? So let's talk a little bit about using the beautiful framework that we just were reinforcing today with our B's,
Let's talk about how can we do that? What does that look like in every day? Be fierce. Be fierce. That's our first B, right? Be fierce. Okay. What do you do when adversity comes your way? You have to stand in your truth, right? You've got to stand in your truth, and you have to say, what would I do if I wasn't afraid, right? How often do we come from a place where we're making a decision out of fear? What would I do if I wasn't afraid? And then what do you have to do? Do it. Like, you got to do it, okay? So that's the first thing. You have to sort of, my advice to people, and it's not that I think any of this is easy stuff. This is the hard stuff, and this is the real stuff. Try to shift your mindset, right? It's easy to sort of stand here and say, look, when you're facing adversity, it's an opportunity, right? Try to just reinforce that in your mind every single day, because adversity does invite us to reconnect with our true self. I believe we are faced with adversity, and the challenge is to get back to who our authentic self is. And maybe we don't know, and now we're on a journey to find out who that is. When people come to me and, their image of themselves is changing, right, in a very big and meaningful way. I was a wife, I was a mother, I was this, I was that, right? No, you're not. No, you're not. Yeah, you're those things. That's not who you are. That's not who you are. You are so much bigger than that. You are divinely important and lovable because of who you are, because you are here, because you exist on this planet. Not because you are a wife, not because you are a husband, right? Those are the labels that society puts on us. So in those moments, I encourage everyone to get back to the core of who they are. And it takes time, like, to sit and be still and not distract yourself and be quiet. And I encourage you to do that. So that's be fierce. Be fabulous. Okay, be fabulous. That means something different to everyone. For me, it meant these shoes. Okay? That's what it I also have my flip-flops, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been putting them on every kind of so often. But for me today, that's what be fabulous meant. Other days it might mean something else. It might mean staying up all night working on a slideshow for K through 6 elementary school students to talk about law, right? That was me being fabulous earlier this week. Today, this is a little different. I get to wear these shoes. And practice self-compassion, right? Because we're often the first person we put to the side. And it goes back to, we have to fill our own cup. Yeah, we have to fill our own cup. What does that look like? And that might look different for every single person. And there are some really sort of key basic things that I know are gonna sound a little bit like cheesy or like, give me a break, how can that work? But I promise you, if you make a commitment for 60 days to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I align with my highest self every single day, I promise you these words will remind you of your inherent beauty, of your inherent fabulousness. Okay? Because the reality is, every word that you speak weaves a thread of reality. Every word that you speak weaves a thread of reality. Your words are powerful, so be kind to yourself and be intentional with the words that you speak. Be vibrant, okay? Also, these shoes are vibrant too. I feel like these fit a lot of categories. Because joy isn't just a vibe, right? It's literally a strategy, okay? It's a strategy. You can practice these micro joys in everyday life. Get that glass of mango juice. I'm pretty sure it was some mango juice out there. It's delicious. Enjoy the mango juice. Enjoy the song. Roll down the window. Not when it's 110 degrees, but maybe today on your way home. Start willing the life that you want into existence. When you wake up in the morning, put yourself in the life that you want to have. It is already in existence. You are living it. It is real. Why? Because if you start living that life into existence, it's going to start to show up for you. I was having conversations here today already with some wonderful women. Take that leap of faith. The universe will meet you. The universe will show up when you practice self-love, when you're vibrant, when you're fabulous, right? When you're fierce. And start to think about, who is it that you want in your circle? Who is it that you want to allow to have access to you? You should not allow everyone to have access to you, okay? And sometimes that means, sorry, mom. Not my mom's great. But sometimes, right? I mean, it's hard. I mean, I'm not pretending this is easy stuff, right? Sometimes it's that sister. Sometimes it's that friend. And you know who those people are, who energetically drain you, who bring you down. That is real. Listen to yourself, trust yourself. You feel that way for a reason. Respect yourself, love yourself enough to say, these are the boundaries I'm putting into place, right? Doesn't mean you have to will them away forever, but what it does mean is put people in the place that they deserve to be in your life. And do not be an open access to everyone, because the consequences of that are real. And I meet people when they're maybe just starting to realize that, right? The big life separations in a marriage for 30, 40, 50 years, right? Really having to redefine yourself and being very intentional about who you allow in your world. Maybe your world gets really small. Support systems are really important, but not when they are what? Not when they're bloom blockers.
Right.
No bloom blockers, okay? And I promise you, you know who those people are when you get real and quiet with yourself. We're on our, so that kind of goes into our be healthy a little bit too, right? Protecting your peace, nourishing your whole self, right? Ditching the bloom blockers, stay off social media, because social media is it's like the Instagram, the Snapchat, all of that, right? That's a bloom blocker. Just like those toxic people in your life, right? They drain your energy. So does social media. Be intentional with social media and intentional with your energy there. Be you. Okay, yeah, claim your power. That's right, because you know what? You are powerful. And the forces that be want you to believe you are not powerful, right? Everything around us tells us we're not powerful. Everything around us tells us not to trust ourselves and to look outside of ourselves. I beg you, reclaim your power. It is intrinsically the truth, okay? Don't let anybody tell you that you're not. Here's another mantra for you. I call back all of my power. Everybody, I call back all of my power. Every single place, person, experience where your power was unintentionally or intentionally taken from you, call it back. Be intentional with that. Call back your power, okay? From the past, from the future, and today. And it's amazing how your life will start to unfold when you call back your power, when you stay true to who you are, when you remain fabulous, wear the shoes or don't, okay? Be healthy. Kick those bloom blockers out of your life. Shut down your phone. You don't need to be looking at the bloom blockers on social media either, because that energy drain is real, even on your screen. Okay? Be fabulous, be vibrant, be fierce. And at the end of the day, know that however your life starts to unfold, when you set on that journey to be who you are, to be that authentic you, and to get quiet and to reclaim that person, well, all of a sudden, beautiful, blooming joy will start opening up into your life. The people, the places, the things, the experience, trust, and keep going one foot in front of the other. Thank you. You're all amazing. Be yourself, be fierce, be powerful, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Ooh, that was wonderful, wasn't it? I already feel I'm a changed person and just think we just started this whole session. And by the end of the day, probably I'll start having red hair. You know, I'll be so changed. Thank you, Commissioner Wani. So we are thrilled to have with us today a true powerhouse in leadership development, DE&I strategy and organizational culture, Crystal Blackwell, founder and CEO of Crystal Clear Results Life Coaching LLC. With over 20 years of experience in Fortune 100 companies like Liberty Mutual, Chase Bank, Crystal brings a unique blend of business acumen, emotional intelligence, and transformational leadership. She is certified in diversity, equity, and inclusion, with additional certifications in organizational development and life coaching, making her a true architect of people-centered progress. Crystal has partnered with industry giants like Boeing, State Farm, Edwards Vacuum, and Ideas Collide to help create inclusive, high-performing workplace cultures. Her expertise lies in building trust, amplifying belonging, and guiding leaders to embrace the full potential of multi-general workforces. Whether consulting, coaching, or training, she creates safe, empowering spaces where people and teams flourish. Her accolades include the 2020 Micro Business of the Year Award, the 2021 Women to Meet in Chandler recognition, and the 2022 Martin Luther King Award from the City of Chandler and the U.S. Congress for her outstanding work in DE&I. Today, Crystal is here to speak on empowering your career at every stage, reinforcing the idea that no matter where you are on your journey, your purpose is still unfolding and your potential is still rising. Please join me in welcoming the inspiring and unstoppable Crystal Blackwell.
Thank you all. Thank you, Commissioner, for inviting me and She Matters Equity Forum. It is always an honor and a pleasure, and I'm always humbled when people want crystal clear results, Crystal, to show up and to share. And this is even special because I get to share with the ladies. And am I not vibrant? I mean, yellow suit, right? So thank you for that there. So we're gonna just kick it off here. Did you know this? That while women constitute 48% of entry-level workforce, only 26% of women go to C-suite. This is a significant drop-off, and this is highlighted in McKinsey report of 2024. So this is recent information. Women in the Workplace report underscores the challenges women face as they progress in their careers. However, at every stage, we have the power to take charge, make strategic decisions, and pave the way for our advancement. So we're gonna walk through 3 stages. And as we walk through the stages, I want you to identify what stage you're at or reflect what stage that you were and think about where you were, what decisions you were making. And we're gonna do it by way of storytelling. So the first person I wanna introduce you to is Linda. Hi, Linda. So you guys say hi to Linda. Hi, Linda. Good. So Linda, she's our first person that we're going to meet. Linda is a recent college grad. She graduated starting as a marketing assistant, and she proactively was seeking a mentorship, attending industry workshops and volunteering for cross-functional projects. She gained diverse experience that accelerated her promotion to a marketing manager within 3 years. So let's talk about some of the things that Linda did right out of college. Now, you don't necessarily have to be right out of college. It could be right out of high school. It could be right out of a community college. It could be just something early in your career. Or it also could be that, hey, you were a stay-at-home mom, right? And then you entered back into the workforce. And you entered back into the workforce as an entry level. So some key strategies that you can lean into if you're at that early career. We're calling that building a strong foundation. The first thing is to embrace continuous learning. Always invest in yourself in learning. Enroll in online courses, read some books, do some podcast listening, maybe some audio books, anything that's going to just strengthen your base. Also, enroll in courses that are relevant to the field that you're interested in. And right now, there's so much access to different types of learning. Really dig into that because remember, we're building that strong foundation. Secondly, which I feel is really important, is develop your personal brand. And this is key because believe it or not, all of us are brands. And we have to see ourselves as a brand that we're marketing our gifts and our talents. And one way we can do that is, of course, social media, LinkedIn. That's a brand. You put your brand out there, but also your brand is how people perceive you. Your brand is how you work with others, your attitude. I know this is old school, but you know what? Attitude is altitude. How people perceive you, how you show up, how people view you as a person. Are you easy to work with? Are you accountable? Do you show up? Are you kind? Are you empathetic? All of that begins to build your brand. That becomes your brand. So you can have all the skill sets, you could be top of the class, you can kill all the projects, but if people don't like you and your brand is not doing really well, you probably won't move up. So really owning your brand. And it's, having those conversations with people and asking, how do people perceive me? Yes, it's important how people view you. I know we hear, well, I don't care what people think about me, or I just come to work to do my job. That's okay, but it's gonna leave you in that space. So really develop your personal brand. Your personal brand is you. Be authentic. If you're a funny person, you're a funny person. If you're a person that's kind, you're a kind person. So your brand is who you are. So really begin to develop your brand at the foundational level. Third, seek mentorship. This is a great time to start meeting and talking to people. This is a great place to network, to find future mentors. Mentors are not necessarily always in your industry. They could be in different industries. They could be at different ages. Yes, I actually have a mentor who mentors me in my technology who's a Gen Z, right? That's a gap. That's my mentor. So don't think your mentor has to be someone older or someone maybe who looks like you. Be creative. Look for the skill sets that they can bring to the table that can enhance you. So it's real important to get a mentor. You can have more than one. You can have a mentor in a different state with Zoom and virtual assistants and all these types of things. They don't necessarily have to be here. And also show up as a mentee. It is your job to activate the mentor, not the mentor's job. So you set the meetings, you come prepared early. You're the ones who drive the conversation. It's not the mentor's job, it's the mentee's job. So lay the foundation with a strong mentor. I have a mentor now that I report to, and I actually scheduled something to meet with her next week, and I'm a little nervous because she's gonna hold me accountable on something I need to get busy on. So it's real important that you do that. Lastly, some actionable steps around self-care and emotional intelligence. The first thing is have a true level of who you are, a level of self-awareness, like really know who you are. Know your blind spots, know your strengths, know how you show up. That's real important because if you know how you show up and when someone gives you feedback, you don't have a meltdown because you kind of know how you are. So know how you're constructed. A great way to practice this is to journal. Raise your hand if you're a journaler. My journalers, yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna tell you. If you're not, give it a try. If it's not your thing, pick up your phone, hit audio, and then record it. You can do all different things. But the point I'm driving is you want to have a journal of every day of things you're doing at work. It's an emotional journal. So it could be a different journal than you had before. It's strictly for work. In that journal, you could put in, today I received feedback and it made me feel insignificant. Ask yourself, why am I feeling insignificant? Why am I feeling upset about this feedback? Why am I feeling this way? And really dig into the emotion, not what happened. Really understand how you are so you can be able to regulate your emotions. Because we know what it looks like when emotions show up in the workplace or emotions show up in different places. It typically doesn't show up in a good way, right? So you want to be able to manage your emotions, know who you are, and having a journal can really help you with that. The other one for self-care practices is develop an exercise routine. Now, everyone's exercise is different. Yours could be gym, yours could be walking, yours could be yoga. Whatever it is, invest in some sort of moving your body. It is a scientific proven fact that if you're taking care of your body, it's going to help you cognitively. And I recommend you do this in your early stage. Remember, building the foundation. So years ago, when I started off into corporate America, I right away got into working out early in the morning. And I did that for years. I created a habit. So you want to start this habit of taking care of your body, whatever that looks like for you. It's a good place to kind of burn off energy. You're taking care of yourself. It promotes, I think someone mentioned, good, solid sleep. And you want to eat the foods that really complement you. So it doesn't mean you can't go to Shake Shack and get that strawberry shake and that double cheeseburger. You know, it doesn't mean you can't do that, but it's a balance. We want to take care of ourselves, okay? Good. So that's our first one. That's Sarah we talked about. So we talked about Linda. Now we're gonna talk about Sarah. So this is, I find, is the weak spot of the 3 stages. We have the first stage, we're laying the foundation. These are our early career goers. This is at mid-stage, and I spend a lot of my time with organizations working with this mid-range. It's pretty soft, this particular place. This mid-space is navigating your career through growth and challenges. Navigating your career through growth and challenges. So, we have Sarah. She's a mid-level manager. Hi, Sarah. Want to say hi to Sarah? Hi, Sarah. She felt stagnant in her role. So this girl's been working a while. So kind of think about that mid-level. You've been working a while. You feel a little stagnant. But by setting clear goals, she was able, and expanding her professional network, we're going to talk about that, and advocating for herself, and we heard some of that in our B's, like advocating for yourself, she was able to transition to senior leadership. Now, decisions are made at the C-suite level. So we've got to be able to get more women at that high level of leadership. And it's not everyone's dream, but it's a good place to be because those decisions coming from the CEO, CFO, COO, trickles down. It impacts who? Us. It impacts your day-to-day. So she's already starting to form her goals because that's where she wants to go. So you can use these strategies, but typically in that mid-level, it's pretty soft. Why? Kids come into play. Sports, kids, marriage, good or bad, you have that to balance. Now we have parents moving back home with families. We've got some multi-generational things going on in the household. We're getting older. Let's not talk about hormones. We got all of that going on in that mid-range, and then people are telling us to perform at work. And then this is a time when we really want to move up, but we got a lot of stuff going on. So this particular place is really when you want to have a strategy. It's really when you want to have goals. You want to be consistent. So remember, we laid a foundation already, right, of developing, focusing on our self-development. We're working out now. We're eating better. These are already planted. That's going to help us in that mid-year, and that's a big part of our careers moment. That's director level, early managers, or even just experienced within your role, your skill, your highly skilled role. So it's really delicate, so be mindful when you're in that space. So these are some things you can do to help you bloom, right? We want to bloom in this space. So you want to set clear goals. We're going to go back to that, and that's important. Set clear, crystal clear goals. Be very specific, measure them, have measurables on them, put some time stamps. I'm going to complete this project. I'm going to invest in myself by this date. Like really sit down and set up some goals. Meet with professionals that you're interested in. This is a great time. Again, this type of a situation is great to meet people. This is when you want to get out of your box and start meeting people in different industries. Maybe your interests, maybe meeting with your boss's boss, maybe meeting with an entrepreneur, like, oh, maybe I'm thinking I want to own my own business. So let me start networking with other entrepreneurs. So this is a time when you want to take some time, which we don't have a lot of. That's why planning is so important at this stage, to get out and do it. Because before you know it, 10 years have gone, 15 years is gone, and you're stagnant. And what happens when you're in a role and you're stagnant and you're not feeling good? You're burnt out. Raise your hand if you've ever been burnt out. Does that feel good? Is that sexy? No. Not at all. You are tore up. Feeling burnt out is not a good thing for your physical, mental, emotional, social. All parts of you break when you're in a burnout. So we don't want that for the ladies. We can't bloom burnt out. Expand your network, expand your network, expand your network. Put yourself in uncomfortable places, meet people in different industries, put your hand out, introduce yourself, really work on networking, practice networking. Networking isn't just showing up with your business card, looking around. You really have to put yourself out there, talk to people, get to know them, ask questions about what they're doing, build relationships, follow up. connect. You really want to expand your network. There's so many opportunities to learn how to network. If you're not comfortable, I will say use the internet. Simply say, how do I network? And practice it. And guess what? I was just talking to the doctor over here just earlier. Being uncomfortable is normal. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not stretching. So you're gonna be uncomfortable when you're networking. That's okay. That means you are doing something. Feel good about that. And then advocate for yourself. Be your cheerleader. No one's gonna cheer you on like you. No one's gonna cheer you on like you. You need to be your advocate. But your ducks gotta be in a row, and you gotta be together. You can't advocate for yourself and you're a mess. I'm just saying, right? So you need to know that you are together to advocate for yourself. Put yourself, in situations where you can get some feedback. If you find yourself where you're being challenged about your value and you feel alone, that's okay. I just recently had an organization reach out to me to do a project, and what they quoted me was beneath what I typically would price. And I said no, and they were challenged by that. But yet still, I knew a man did what I was doing last year, and he got his worth. So know your worth, know your value, and fight for it. Fight for it. So let's talk about some actionable steps around self-care and emotional intelligence. And I think we heard some of this. Practice mindfulness. And that could be whatever shows up for you. It could be deep breathing. Who are my deep breathers in here? You know who you are. Man, let me tell you, I wish I knew this years ago. Deep breathing it really is a lifesaver. Learn some deep breathing techniques. You can do it anywhere, right? And anytime and any place. Also, if you're into yoga, praying, meditating, whatever it is that you need to do, practice your particular, mindfulness. Manage your stress effectively. Now, remember, we built some foundation of working out, maybe eating right, getting some good sleep. That helps. It can be a challenge sometimes, I know. But manage your stress. If you're around toxic people, bye-bye. Manage your stress. Set your boundaries. I love we talked about that. I am all about boundaries, so set your boundaries. Be very adamant about it. Yes, you're gonna be uncomfortable, you guys, setting your boundaries. It's okay. You're not gonna always feel good about things, but set the boundaries, say no. All of these are stress reducers for you. And then know yourself enough to know, like, you know what, this is not good for me. I'm not gonna participate. Know when things are lifting you up and know when things are pulling you down. Have that level of self-awareness. So now we're gonna go into senior career. Now, this isn't necessarily age, this is about years within a particular industry. So you could be that expert being on a job in a particular area for 30 plus years. You are a unique employee. I spend a lot of time with CEOs teaching them how to value our senior career experts. But oftentimes they don't feel valued. So here are some tips that you're in this space that's gonna really get you going. So we're gonna talk about Miss Maria. Hi, Maria. We're gonna say hi to Maria. She's a senior executive, been in her role for 40 years. Do you think she knows her stuff? She probably knows her stuff, right? She dedicates her time to mentoring. Now she's mentoring a little bit. Okay, go Maria. To young emerging leaders, and not necessarily young in age, young in maybe their careers, right? Young within their careers. Her commitment to development others not only enhanced the team performance, it also solidified her legacy. Like, I'm really good at what I do. I'm gonna mentor someone who may potentially take my role, and my legacy is gonna stay alive. So if you're in that space and you're making your way out of the industry to do different things, share your knowledge. Guess what? We need it. We want it. Share your knowledge. Host workshops, seminars, You can get people together and do little fireside chats. Really begin to share your knowledge. People want to know what you're doing, how you got there. Be adaptable. There's a lot of changes, and we know sometimes it doesn't feel good, so you may be required to do things that are a little different, may have to show up a little different, learn something that you're not used to. So try to strengthen that adaptability muscle that we tend to lose as we get more of a senior career professional. Try to work on that adaptability. We know you're tired, but try not to be in the workspace. Really, really loosen up and give us your best. We want to bloom from your knowledge. So please, please share that. Also plan for your succession. Plan for your next stage. Plan for what you want to do. You still have plenty to give. You still have plenty to offer within this season. You could be in this season 10 years. Start planning. If you know, hey, I'm going to start my own business in 10 years. Start planning now. Hey, I'm going to go into a different industry in 5 years. Start your planning now. Focus on self-development. Figure out what it is that you need to focus on. Is it technology? Is it how your brand, if you're rebranding yourself? Like really look at where you're at and do an honest assessment and focus on those different skills so that you can bloom where you are and even bloom at your next stage. Focus on some actionable steps for self-care and emotional intelligence, social skills. This is the time when social skills really matter, and we really want to make sure we focus that. So focus having open communication with all different types of people. Let them know where you're at. Hold one-on-ones. Talk to different industry leaders. Let them know, hey, I got 35 years experience in this spot. I got 20 years of experience. People are looking for top-tiered experienced professionals. So stretch your stuff. Let people know that you're out there. So begin to share that and begin to set up those social circles of people that are maybe not like you, that you can learn from. Begin to structure on how you can grow socially. And some other things you can do for self-care practices. This is a good time. I love sharing this one. This is when you can really hone in on your hobbies. So think about things you say that you just don't have time for. So my husband just recently retired, and that 5 books he's been saying he's gonna read for like the last 10 years, like he's finally starting to go back to being an avid reader that he was years ago. So think about the hobbies. If you're a craft person who likes crafts, arts and crafts, if you're a person, your hobby is sewing, if your hobby is volunteer work, begin to get back into your hobbies because your hobbies are gonna really sustain you later. So this is when you have a little more time, kids are usually a little older, you got more space, you're a little more settled. Take that opportunity, use that time to tap back into your hobbies or look for a new hobby that you can invest in. And that's gonna really help you in terms of your emotional intelligence, your stress, how you feel. Again, tapping you back into social skills. So in conclusion, empowering your career is a continuous journey. Like we're always on it. I'm on it right now. We're all on it. So I hope you were able to see where you're at on this journey and grab a few nuggets. I know we have on your tables just a quick little checklist that you can take with you that you could use, and feel free sharing if you know anyone that particularly who would need that. At every stage, at every level, from executive level, you have the power to shape your path. Like we have the power to do that. You have the power to overcome obstacles. Every woman in here can tell us a story of some type of obstacle that you overcame, either personal or professional. Glean and lean into that. You can achieve your goals. Is it tough? Yeah, it is. Having stretch tough goals is, but that's okay. If you can't, you just set yourself another goal, but continue to have goals in front of yourselves because they inspire and they will get you to achieve what you're looking for in terms of whatever career path that you want to place yourself in. Embrace, embrace, embrace self-care. Really find out what it is for you. Dive into your emotional intelligence. How am I regulating my emotions? Am I demonstrating true empathy? Or do I want everyone to empathize with me, excuse me, and I'm not empathizing with others? Really understand how you're showing up in that space and use those tools throughout your journey, ensuring not only professional success, but also understanding your personal overall well-being. Thank you, and continue to bloom. Thank you.
Sure, yes.
So any questions anyone have? Yes, yes. How do you know you go from one stage to another? You go from the early stage, right, foundational stage, and you go to the middle stage, which I always find that that's the one that's the delicate one that could be a little tougher, and then the senior stage. Again, it's not age, it's all about experience. So I want to make that clear because we all have different journeys. So if you know that you're early into your workforce or in your role, so you could have 20 years in professional industry, but 5 years within a particular role, and that role is entry level, you almost reset back, right? So if you're still at an entry level and you know that, and you're still there, I see about 5 or 6 years, and after that, you start going within the same role to that mid-level, which is a little lengthier, when you're actually ready to move up to different, maybe into management, taking on larger projects, typically in an area where you're influencing others, where you're leading teams, is when you usually shift. Because now you're looking at others to get work done through. And that raises your level of responsibility. You go from that individual kind of contributor to someone who is either partnering or working with others. So, good question. Yeah. Well, first, know your worth, for real. Like, be realistic about it. You know, of course, I'm gonna tell you I'm worth 50 billion. You know, we're all gonna do all the things, but know your worth. And that may take some research, you know, because they always wanna give you like a range. So if you're dealing with when working with an organization or giving you a range, be realistic about your experience and what you've done. Okay, yeah, everyone's gonna always go for the top, but you don't wanna go in there and then you overshoot yourself, and then you're gonna give the perception that you're not realistic and you don't know your value. And you definitely don't wanna undercut yourself. So understanding the role you're going for, realistically, what are they asking for, your experience, and even within that experience, your accolades. So if you're 5 years in a role and you were tops, you know how you know you're tops? Your review told you. You got awards. If you're able to back it up and really talk about why you deserve, X amount, and you could give them examples, then you need to ask for that. If you're not quite there yet, that's fine, but you want to be realistic and you want to be sound. But do an evaluation and be realistic about your value and have no problem being able to negotiate. Just make sure when you're negotiating, you have your ducks in a row. You have your awards, you have your review that says that you're amazing and you're tops. You have all the things so that you can have a conversation, a strategic, intelligent conversation about money. And don't be afraid to ask, because men do. They will walk in and ask for the top, so don't be afraid. Yes, ma'am. Good question. Something I wish I should have known before I started my own business. I really wish I would have had more confidence when I was in corporate. And I wish that I was able to know that. I found out all my gifts and talents, I recognize them more in my entrepreneur space than I did in corporate. I knew I was good because corporate has a way of telling you. They promote you, they pay you well, they give you, awards. But I didn't really specifically know detailed until I was challenged to be on my own to really dig into it. So I wish I was able to just hone in on it. I was always good with people, but I didn't know I was good with strategy writing, and I didn't know I was good with, planning, project planning, all those types of things. So, yeah, so know your stuff, know your strengths, know your talents, and don't be afraid to show them and flaunt them and be proud of them. Yeah, the question is what caused me to leave corporate. I always knew that I don't know, who are my manifestors in here, people who manifest stuff. I didn't know I was that when I was a teenager, but when I was in high school, I wrote my goals, and I wrote I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now, I spelled it wrong. They didn't have spell check, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I always knew I wanted to do my own thing. And when I was in corporate, as I was moving up the ladder, I recognized so many gaps in how leadership was not really valuing their number one asset, which I think is people. And even though we were hitting numbers and doing all these things, I always felt like people was, people like you, and you give them what they need, they work hard for you, and you win. To me, it was just that simple. So I look forward to having, being able to leave corporate America, to do my own thing in the way that I felt like it should be, and teaching leaders better ways to motivate their people to get the best out of them. So there were times in business where they loved me, and there were times they didn't, because I went rogue, and I would do things that to me made sense, like, move a schedule, or, have a one-on-one with someone about, something personal. They didn't understand finances. Let me help you out here. Just being a human. I had to turn around burnout. Really, you know what? Please try not to get there, but that's a good question, because you get there quick. I've been there. I think the best way to do when you have burnout is to stop and pause. Take that PTO day, take that whatever time you can take to walk away from that particular space, and recognize you're burnt out. Because we'll keep going and going and going, and then, oh my gosh, it doesn't feel good. So recognize that you're burnt out, and step away from whatever that is, and start to invest back in yourself. And if you're a spiritual person, lean into that. If it's a friend group that that can really build you up, whatever is gonna fuel you. Sometimes it's being around your kids, it can fuel, whatever's gonna fuel you. Your tank is empty, you need to go to the gas station, you need some gas. So whatever's gonna fuel you, you wanna do that. And then you may identify during that process, like, how did I get here? So that, because once you go there and you know how you got there, then you know when the signs to not go back. Okay, so that, and it happens easily, to slip into that. And you had another question? How do you thrive in an area or a place that's underutilizing your skills and talents? Am I correct in that? Yeah. Setting your goals, what you want, and having them in front of you is motivating, because there's going to be times where all of us are going to be underutilized. So know your skills, know yourself. If you've advocated to say, hey, I want to be able to utilize, and you've done all the things and you still have not been used, no one's still invested in you, then you have to invest in yourself. So this is when you kind of go outside of work, community service, whatever that looks like for you. It could be, YMCA or YWCA. We have here, we have so many organizations that are looking for women to utilize their skills and talents. And that's another way to network, right? And meet other like-minded women so that can help you, propel you within your career. So you don't always have to bloom in the workspace. Look for other areas within your life to bloom. I think that when it's good to do a self-assessment right after you have a situation that was uncomfortable. Maybe a blowout, maybe a fight, maybe someone upset you, maybe something that rattled you. I think that's a good time to pause and say, what's really going on here? Like, why am I upset about this? That's a good time too, because that root will tell you that's usually not what they're doing and saying, is something going on with you. Also, a good time is when you get feedback. Some people, they get feedback. Some people you can't give feedback to. They freak out. They just don't want it. But if you can get some good feedback and use that to ask yourself some questions, like, why would they say that I'm direct? Or why would they say that, that I'm rude when I'm really assertive? Or I'm really sort of being, I'm confident, not arrogant. When you start getting feedback that's just doesn't really sit well with you, start asking yourself questions. And then lastly, am I showing up as my true self? Like, am I really being me? We're all different. I think we talked about that. We're all uniquely different, and embracing your difference and loving your difference and in the place, and if you're not really comfortable with you and the gifts and talents and how you're created and God has given you and made you, then that in itself could be just a personal journey, just figuring out and loving who you are. And we're not perfect and we don't have it all together, but once you know who you are, you know how you show up, that will keep you grounded. It keeps you grounded in this wacky kind of a flowing world, right? Good question. This is one of my rogue moments in corporate America. For me, what worked for me as a leader, and I stuck with it, I coach strengths. I mean, people know their weakness. So I coach strengths. I lean on people's strengths. I recognize people's strengths. And what I notice is that the weaknesses, or not even weakness, the areas that maybe not be as strong, we're going to naturally elevate it. Because people, when you feel good about yourself and when you feel good about what you're doing, then you're going to work hard on the other areas. So I never really leaned on. Now, if someone came to me and said, hey, I want to focus on this, that's different. Then we can come up with a plan. But I always felt like when you focus on your strengths and other things would naturally rise. And I saw that time and time again. It wasn't the formula that, often a lot of organizations would use, but, behind closed doors, that's what I did. It worked for me. So I've always called myself a strength builder. I think lifting strength building. I mean, it feels good. It makes sense. I've seen the needle move. People feel good about tackling things that are uncomfortable when they feel good about themselves. So that's always been my approach. Empathy, absolutely. Absolutely, no doubt about it. No doubt about it, empathy. I might not necessarily understand like your particular situation, but I can understand the emotion behind it. And to me, and we can just tap into that, you don't have to agree, just understanding, how you're feeling, what you're going through on an emotional level, and really demonstrate that. I think that to me is the superpower, no doubt. Thank you guys, thank you.